We're here today with Tete Pearson and also Don Warren, longtime members of our club. I'm interested to note that Tete has been a member of our club longer, over half of the time that our club has been in existence, and he is a birthday boy today. But Don is also a birthday boy. His birthday will fall later in the month of October, so we're happy to welcome both of them today to share some memories of Rotary. Okay, Tete, you have been a member of our club for many years, and I learned something new today, that you actually joined and have belonged longer than our records show. So when did you join Rotary for the first time?
I think it was 1948.
And you had come back from the war?
Yes, and was working for my father, who sponsored me for Rotary.
Okay.
He had been a long-term Rotarian himself, but I dropped out of Rotary for 9 years while I worked in Charlotte. And when I came back to Gastonia, I re-entered the Rotary Club. So my term as a member was interrupted for a few years, but I came back in and have been a member since then.
That's great. Where did you work when you worked for your dad?
He had Gas and Merchant Oil Company here, and it was an oil and gasoline business, and I worked for him.
Okay. And then when you went to Charlotte?
I worked in the investment business for R.S. Dixon Company, selling securities, stocks and bonds.
Uh-huh.
And then I came back here and went to work for Citizens National Bank and stayed there for the rest of my career.
Who invited you back to Citizens National Bank?
Mr. Allen Sims. He brought me in to replace himself.
That's amazing. And you were a fairly young man.
38.
Wow. That's pretty amazing, Tete.
Well, it was a nice compliment. He approached me and said, "I want you to come in. I think you're the man to succeed me, and if you'll join the bank, we'll see how it works out." And they paid me the huge sum of $12,000 a year to give that a try.
That was a huge sum.
Not when you had 3 children and house payments.
Uh-oh. Oh, golly. Did you have a sponsor the second time when you returned to Rotary? Was there?
No, I think it was just almost automatic.
Okay, you just resumed your membership.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, okay. What was the club like when you joined?
Well, I would say it was more formal in that you wore your suits and neckties, and it was more difficult to get in because you had classifications, and it could be only one person per classification. For example, if I was in the gasoline business and entered the club, nobody else in the gasoline business could come in, but they were very strict about classifications back then, and they were more formal in dress and things like that.
Well, there's still kind of jokes and carrying on like that?
Yes. Oh, yeah. George Jenkins and Jim Smith and guys like that, they were a lot of joking and fun, yes.
That's great. That's great. And no women, of course.
No.
No.
And I'm glad they changed it.
Well, good. It's on the record now. That's great. How influential then was Rotary in the community in those days?
Well, it was highly respected and was involved in a lot of projects, and I think reasonably influential, yes.
Were the traditions at the membership meetings about the same as they are today?
Well, of course, it's always been, Rotary's always been service above self is the important point, and I think that has persisted over the years.
You're right.
And that part I like very much. Well, I like all of Rotary, but I think that's the important part, service above self.
What are some of the projects? Do you recall any?
Well, my favorite was back when we used to take little children who came from families with little. We'd take these children and sometimes their mothers shopping at Christmas, and we'd take them to Belk or department stores and buy them clothes and shoes, outfits, occasionally a toy. But that was my favorite project, is taking these kids Christmas shopping.
That's great. And that has a big tradition in our club. It evolved, but...
And they're giving bicycles now, I think.
That's right.
I think we gave bicycles last year, but
right,
it meant a lot to some needy kids.
That's right. Well, how have you felt Rotary has shaped you personally or professionally?
Well, I've met a lot of fine people, and had the year again service above self emphasized constantly, and had a chance to make a lot of new friends, meet a lot of new people, and get involved in some very, very worthwhile projects over the years. It's been, Rotary has been a meaningful part of my life.
Did you ever go to an international convention when you were president?
Went to France.
You went to France?
Went to Nice, France. Had a great time. Yes, sure
did Beth go with you?
Yes, she sure did.
That's great.
Oh, I wouldn't have gone without her.
No, that's right. You would never hear the end of it, right?
No.
That happened to me.
No, I wouldn't have had a good time without her.
That's great. Were you the only two from our club who attended?
No, I guess there were half dozen.
Wow.
There were several of us who went.
That's wonderful.
Bonham Carter, I think, and
Okay.
I believe David LaFar. There were several who went with us.
As president, do you remember any highlights or anything that you tried to accomplish, or?
Well, I really don't. I just kept the ball rolling, but I don't know of any particular project that I sponsored. No.
Well, Rotary has been a big part of my life, and it's wonderful to hear your memories. And if you have any other comments, I hope that you will share them, because I think it's wonderful that you continue to come to weekly meetings and sit in a fairly assigned seat.
Well, over the years we've had great programs, great speakers, and you can learn a lot from the programs. It's not just a matter of making friends and getting involved in projects. You can learn a lot from the programs. We've had some very outstanding speakers over the years, and I look forward to that.
And I always note that you're one of the first people who asked a question of the speaker many times.
Well, I'm curious, I guess.
That's great.
They may not like the questions, but I'm curious.
No,
and interested.
Yeah, I agree with you. We've been pretty fortunate. Well, I really thank you for your time, and I think you're going to be featured on the big screen soon at the club meeting.
Well, thank you for this opportunity.
And happy birthday again to you.
Well, thank you. And I want to repeat that Rotary has really been an important part of my life. It's meant a lot to me in many ways. And thank you for this opportunity.
Well, you're welcome, Tete. I agree with everything.
Thank you.
I remember, Don, that our club wasn't the first Rotary club you belonged to. Aren't you an Alabama guy? I mean, I know you're an Auburn fan, but didn't you grow up in Alabama?
Did, but not a part of Rotary.
Not a part of Rotary, okay.
Not a part of Rotary. You want me to tell you where my Rotary experience began?
Yes.
When I joined Spindale Mills in Spindale,
okay,
I chose to live in Rutherfordton, the adjoining town 10 miles away. I joined the Kiwanis Club.
Ah.
And shortly thereafter, the president of our company, Charles Reynolds, came to me and said, I'd like for you to have a presence in the civic community in Spindale, since you're working in Spindale. And would you please drop your Kiwanis membership and join the Rotary Club in Spindale? And I did.
Okay.
Shortly thereafter, I was asked to be the president.
Oh,
but I was very glad to have a presence in Spindale. They're very good people.
How large was that club?
About a third of our club.
Is it really? Okay.
Maybe about 35 or 40 people.
Okay.
Or smaller.
Yeah, but that you really get to know people.
Oh, yeah.
That's fun. Well, did they have similar traditions to our club?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know, Rotary is Rotary, basically wherever you are in its structure. But the personalities and the people change.
That's right.
And I was glad to know the people in Spindale.
Okay,
Good
that's
people.
great. All right. Well, did they have a piano player?
They did have a piano
Did
player.
they really? Okay.
In the Spindale house, upstairs in the
Okay.
Spindale Club.
Neat.
Yeah.
So then I think in '90 you joined our club. I mean, you came to China Grove
That's right.
Textiles
Yeah.
and joined our club then. Did anyone tell you to, or you just
No,
basically-
just transferred.
You just transferred.
Transferred.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Well, so your boss was your sponsor in the Spindale Club, and you just transferred to this club. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. In the, 10, 20, 30 plus years you've been a member of the Rotary Club of Gastonia,
That's right.
how has our club changed? Because I think women came in right as you became a member here.
As I said earlier, the structure of Rotary has been basically the same through the years, except the major change was inclusion of women. And let me comment on that, because that is significant. When John Kennedy was killed, the men in America said, "Who in the world will run the country?"
Huh.
The women said, "Who would take care of those little children?" It was a melding of those two hearts that I think has made Rotary better, because women have been included. 1 + 1 = 3.
There you go. That's great.
Good improvement.
Yes. Well, I think it has enriched Rotary
Oh, absolutely.
to have it. But I do know,
And you've been a part of that.
well, I was a later part of it, but I do know the individual who sponsored me in Rotary said he also sponsored a previous female, and that there were people in the club who didn't speak to him because they were upset that women were joining. But all's well that ends well. Don, I know that you have received the Service Above Self Award from Rotary International, a tremendous award that does
Thanks
not...
to you writing it up.
Well, you did the work, but that was a pretty exceptional thing, and that highlighted your work in Honduras. And so I'd like you to talk a little bit about your vision and how you got inspired to start that project.
Let me tell you how it got started.
Okay.
Mary Ann and I were in church one Sunday night listening to Billy and Mary Collins speak about their missionary experience with the Chortí Indians in western Honduras. They made the comment that 50% of all Chortí children die before age 7, primarily because of unclean water. I don't know why that struck me in such an emotional and profound manner, but it did. And I remember thinking, I'm a member of one of the most powerful organizations on earth, Rotary International, and we have almost $1 billion in cash that we can use to help people around the world. I invited Bill and Mary to our home that night. We talked. They said they'd be delighted to work with Rotary if Rotary wanted to take that on. And I later ran it by the club, and the club said, "Go for it," asked me to be a part of it. First thing I did, I went to the map shop in Charlotte to get a map, see where Honduras was. Being from South Alabama, I didn't know a whole lot about Honduras. So we started from there. And since then, we have installed clean water in 19 villages. Recently, we got a call from Al Steele, who's a fellow Rotarian at the Fort Mill Rotary Club. He was in Los Arcos, one of the earlier villages where we installed clean water. And in Los Arcos, they were having a big celebration. And Al, he said, "Tell me what you're celebrating." They said, "We have gone 8 consecutive years, and there has been 0 deaths of children." And our club had a part in that, and we were very, very, very pleased with that.
Wow.
I could go on and on with where that led to other things.
Well, that's what I mean, the magic of that project was it led to education projects and housing and
Yeah.
tell us about the involvement of Habitat, because you don't, you go after the big shots.
Yeah. When you go down there, you see poverty like you have never seen before. You think you've seen poverty, but you really haven't. One day I walked in a hut, sticks for walls, thatch roof, dirt floor, and here lay a lady on a rack, not a bed, but a rack. She must have been 80, 90, 100 years old, I'm not sure. Her son-in-law said her feet have not touched the floor in 15 years.
Mm.
And under her bed was a pig, and that was the home of a pig that went in and out during the day and slept there under it. And I said, we need to do something about that. When I got back, because I had been involved with Habitat in other ways, I called Paul Leonard in Davidson, who then was the acting president CEO of Habitat International, because Millard Fuller, the founder, had retired. And I told him the story, and I said, Paul, would you consider allowing Habitat International to build homes for people like that who make less than $300 a year, living on dirt floors, sticks for walls, and give the home to the person? And he laughed and said, you don't understand Habitat, do you? And I said, well, really, I do.
Yes.
And
yes.
I said, I have been in Habitat for a long time. I founded 2 affiliates. I ran 1 affiliate for 2 years in addition to my job. Well, Paul said, let me think about it, and I'll call you back. In 2 weeks, he called back and he said, here's what we'll do. He said, we will allow, since the affiliate in Gastonia, in Gaston County, has been outstanding and has donated at least $50,000 a year in tithe money, we will allow 60% of the tithe money to be used to build gifted homes, such as you have described. And that just thrilled me to no end.
It thrilled everybody.
2 weeks later, he called and said, we at International have adopted the gifted concept for the whole world. 1,500 affiliates.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
Our club has impacted.
Don Warren.
No, well, our club impacted the whole world in
Wow.
we built over 2,500 homes now, we in Gaston County, with
Because don't the Habitat tithes now,
the
right?
Habitat tithe money,
Yeah.
and that continues to this day, and I appreciate so much our local Habitat doing that. So the whole world now benefits from something that started from our club,
That's
and
amazing.
we're pleased with that.
Absolutely.
Can I share with you, do we have time for
I think we can have time. Yes, sir.
I want to tell you something, an absolute miracle. This is a miracle from God. I'm standing on the side of a mountain one day, and the alcalde, the mayor of Santa Rita Municipality, Sergio Patillo, came up to me, and by way of a translator, he said, I want to ask you for some help. He said, I have 4,200 elementary school students who come to work every day, go to the edge of the class, get their chair, which is a cement block, take it to their desk, turn it upside up on end, and they sit on that block every day, 5 days a week, all day long, cement block. And their desk was a board suspended on 2 cement blocks. And they set 5 to a board, 4,200 students every day. When I came back, he gave me a beautiful colored booklet illustrating the situation that they faced and had to deal with. he gave me a booklet. I brought it back and I showed it to Reeves McGloin, who at that time was our superintendent. And I said, do you have any extra chairs and tables you can provide? He looked around, called back in a few days, and he said, I really don't. He said, we just don't have any. But call this number. And I called the number, and the man who answered was Darrell Rosser, the president, CEO, and founder of Sagas International. Darrell Rosser is from Piedmont, Alabama, an Auburn graduate.
That
So I told him that story. He said, mail me the booklet. I mailed the booklet to him in Temple, Texas. And I didn't know all of this story until after. But he received the booklet on Friday morning about 10 o'clock, sat at his desk, read the booklet. He had sold several weeks before Sagas International to another company. And that Friday was his last day, Darrell Ross's last day, to leave at 2 o'clock. And at 1 o'clock, in walks the three principals of the new company that just bought Sagas International. And they said, thank you very much, and you'll be leaving shortly. What could we do that would express our appreciation for you
Oh my goodness.
selling this us as your company? And he reached and got the booklet and explained it to them and showed them. And he said, we have 4,200 of our newest model desk and chairs in inventory. And I'd like you to give it as a gift to these people down in Honduras. Well, they choked about 3 times and finally said, okay, we will. The value of that contribution was $547,000. $547,000 gift. And then to ship it from Temple, Texas to...
No charge, right?
Well, no. It cost $20,000. And Darrell Rosser, the president who initiated the suggestion, wrote a check for $10,000 out of his pocket. Our club gave the other $10,000, and we made a shipment to Puerto Cortez in Honduras. And the people in town, in the municipality, the parents and city officials, made 176 round trips.
I did not hear that part of the story.
176, just loaded twice as high as this ceiling. It'd be illegal anywhere in the world, except that they let them get by with it. And so they put those in place, and then the city officials invited Darrell Ross and me to come back a couple of months later to have an official thank you for this gift.
Wow.
And we were sitting on a stage outside, and several hundred people were there. And when it came my time to say something, I stood up. At the same moment, there was a huge earthquake, and the stage began to shake, and some people fell off, and items fell off, and I had to hold on. I had no idea my words were so profound. But they said, thank you.
It was earth shaking.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh my goodness, Don.
I had one other thing I was going to add, but
I think you should add it, whatever you'd like to add.
And going down there, we became friends with and aware of that there were only 2 doctors in Copan Ruinas. This is a town of about 3,000 people. And a male and a female. They had 3 rooms. Each doctor had a room. Then the other room was a reception room, storage room, etc. Everything was just packed to the ceiling. We found out there was an abandoned old bus station that just rambled on and on. And to make a long story short, we renovated that bus station. Just superb renovation. The city got involved, parents and friends got involved, and then because of our friendship with Dr. Francis Robachek in Charlotte, who was responsible for 2 huge warehouses that had taken all the equipment out of hospital changes and so forth through the years, we loaded 2 containers with chairs, tables, sofas, file cabinets, all the medical equipment in the world, and we equipped that medical clinic. It's one of the finest medical clinics in all of Honduras. And that came about as a result of our club being involved in the community and seeing a need and meeting the need.
And one thing I remember, Don, is that didn't Francis Robacek do a book on Honduras?
I have it.
And you had it, and you took it over to Charlotte and presented it to him and asked for his help with this, as I recall.
That's right. That's right. And he was very gracious and very helpful.
I wanted to interject real quick a story that Rob Collis told me from the very beginning of, because Rob was a good partner in this project with you, that you had gone to, in the early days, spoken to a group and a mayor of another town wanted you to provide water for that town first and not in the sequence that you all had planned. And Rob said he was scared to death because they were loud and angry, and he was concerned about violence, and you just, with your, what, 6'4" height, just stood up there.
I'd forgotten that meeting. We had that meeting on top of another mountain in a little meeting shed in a little community where when they wanted to have a gathering, we met under this hut. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've forgotten exactly how I did come out.
Well, I think you convinced them that it was that was an order in which these villages needed to be, and you couldn't jump ahead because you would get out of the sequence. But they came around, I think. But Rob said that he was petrified.
Yeah.
You're going to get in a fist fight.
Yeah, it was very serious there for a short period of time. Yeah, but it's been a good experience for me. And I hope we can continue to meet the needs down there.
Well, it was a wonderful experience for our club.
Well, it has
because
been.
A number of our members have visited.
Have been there and have seen that. Tete Pearson was there. Rob was there. Rob has been a tremendous help in bringing that along with his high degree of organization. So maybe we can continue.
Maybe. But you've really put our club on the map with your...
Well, a lot of people have worked on it.
I know it, but it is really a God thing, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Don, for sharing.
Well, thank you for asking.
Okay.
Every time we built a home, we have built a toilet, an outdoor toilet. In the past, the only thing they had was the biggest tree nearby. And we built a nice flush toilet, and because they had clean water, they were able to take water into the bathroom and keep their containers filled and could flush.
But
we had large drainage fields, and that has been a nice facility to bring about.
Until you've been there, you don't appreciate how some people live.
It's very needy people. We're very blessed in the United States, and Marianne and I have been there several times together.
And I just wanted to add too that this happened in your retirement.
Yeah.
You could have just, taken trips and lived a life of leisure, but you took this project on in your retirement.
Yeah, very, very rewarding.
Yes. Thanks again, Don.
All right.